deal?
Joshua Booth, what's up, man? How are you doing?
What's going on, Dominguez? We're back.
Man, I am just counting the days down. I don't know if you're the same way, but I'm ready to get going, man.
Yep, we're close. I mean, January's almost over. February's going to go by before we know it, and then we're going to be in March. And then that's when we start to kick things off. And so, I mean, today or tonight on this show, we're going to talk a lot about what you need to do to be prepared for this upcoming season. And if you've never fished in a kayak series before or a kayak tournament before, what you might need to do to prepare and get ready for that. So we've got a lot of information to cover, and I think it's going to be really beneficial to a lot of new anglers out there.
And I agree. When I first started, getting into kayaks and wanting to fish tournaments, I didn't know where to go. It's like, you jump on Google and maybe search something, or you jump on, Facebook and look for stuff. And there's so many avenues, and, and we'll go through it from where you start when you want to start fishing tournaments out of kayak to tournament day and the end of a tournament. There's so much going on there, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it and figure some stuff out, and hopefully this will help, those new guys, maybe those guys that have been doing it for a couple years that may have not thought about this stuff, but there is so much opportunity out there for us as kayak anglers. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a kayak angler, and we're going to break it down. So grab you a cup of coffee or a beer, whatever time of day it is, and let's go.
Yeah, if you're at work, you might want to wait on that beer, but
Yeah.
do what you want. So just to start out, when I first got into it, I think I got on Tourney X, and I looked at some KBF stuff, and I ended up finding Moyak and Camo from Missouri for clubs. So if you've got a buddy or a new guy that wants to get in it, what would you recommend them starting out if they just wanted to start with tournaments and maybe join a club in general?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of options out there, like you mentioned right now, and Tourney X is the place to start. If you're just trying to discover tournaments, or find clubs, you can do a state search. You can type in your state. I mean, this not only goes for Missouri, but this goes for anybody else in the country. I mean, you can go there and find your local club, a club close to you, and find all your tournaments. So there are some other apps out there like iAngler and Fishing Chaos, but right now Tourney X has the majority of tournaments. And so if you go to their homepage, you're going to see almost every tournament in the country. You'll have the option to find that. So that is a really good place to start if you're looking for tournaments.
And the cool thing about Tourney X is it doesn't limit you to Missouri. You can look at national, you can look at local, you can look at online, you can look at, just about any way you want to fish, you can look at it. If you wanted to get into crappie fishing, they've got crappie tournaments on there. They've got other catfish tournaments. There's multiple avenues, and Tourney X is definitely one of those places that will point you in the right direction. And the cool thing about it too is you can get on there and search clubs in your area. So if you get on Missouri, I believe there's ORAT, Camo, and then us at Moyak, and all three of those will give you more information how to get in touch with that club or that director.
Yep, that's right. And that's actually how you sign up for these tournaments too. I get asked that a lot. How do I sign up for a tournament? Well, they're right. Everything's on Tourney X. So you find the tournament you want, you click on it, and then you sign up and you pay through PayPal, or you can use a debit card as well, but you're going to go through PayPal. And so that's how the payment, you pay your entry fee online. You're not going to pay your entry fee, at the boat ramp in the morning. So everybody signs up and pays through Tourney X.
So Tourney X, like Josh and I said, it's just a world of information there, and it is somewhat overwhelming. But once you get on there, maybe there's a club you want to join. That Tourney X will send you to that club. It'll give you some information on getting through there, and then at that point, if you decide you want to join a club, what would you tell guys, or what would their expectations be when joining a club?
If I was looking for a club to join for the first time, I would do a little bit of research into their background and history. This is a really rapidly growing sport, so there are a lot of new organizations popping up here and there. So I would I would try to vet them a little bit. Make sure they've at least put on some tournaments before. They've already got some memberships, and they're legit. I'm not going to say that there's some illegitimate tournaments out there, but you want to be careful. you know but most of them are great. I mean, just I would suggest just doing your research, looking at some of their past tournaments, seeing what their turnouts were like, what their payouts were like, and then you can make your decision based on that.
Absolutely. I ran into a guy the other day that I went fishing with, and I think that's the best way to figure out what club you want to join. Just get on their Facebook, get on their social media, say, "Hey, I'd like to go fishing. Anybody interested in meeting up?" And then you can literally, rather than just hearing what people talk on social media, I mean, you can believe it, you can take it for what it's worth, but when you have a conversation in person with someone, you really see how they feel about that club. I know for me, I've fished in a couple, but Moyak was by far my favorite, and I will say that, and I'll tell them I'll be partial, and that's okay if they decide they don't want to fish Moyak. Go fish, go do what you want to do, feel be where you want to be and be comfortable, because at the end of the day, it's your money that you're putting forward, it's your time and your effort. So if it's not a fit for you, by all means, find that spot that fills your void or what you're looking to fill.
Yeah, I agree completely, John. I mean, and we have a lot of options here in Missouri. Like you mentioned, we have multiple clubs. We've also got the KBF onlines, the Moyak onlines. So there are multiple ways for anglers in Missouri to participate in tournaments. So we're really lucky. We're lucky to have the water we have. And you can participate in multiple series and multiple tournaments at once. You don't have to limit yourself to just one. If you're fishing in an online tournament, a monthly online tournament, and there's a live tournament that month, let's say on Table Rock, every fish you catch in that Table Rock tournament, you can still submit it to that online tournament. That's the beauty of kayak tournaments. Bass boat guys can't do that.
No.
But kayak guys, we can fish in 100 tournaments at once if it was possible. As
Yeah.
long as you got every one of them identifier codes on there, each of those identifier codes is a tournament. So therefore, you can just catch that fish if you're within the rules. So that's the benefit of kayak tournament fishing. We do have a lot of options. Like for our lake series, we have the team trail too, the 2-man buddy trail. So let's say our first tournament of the year on Bull Shoals, you can register for the Bull Shoals tournament. And if you've got a buddy and you want to join the 2-man team, you and your buddy can sign up and you can fish the team trail on Bull Shoals at the same time. I mean, as kayak anglers, we can fish in multiple tournaments at once. I guess that's the point I'm trying to stress.
Yeah, it's really cool, especially when guys are fishing, the Moyak Monthly. They've got a team tournament, and then they also got a live event that they're doing their individual, just to be able to stack those tournaments and fish all. It's amazing for us.
Yeah, and if you stack tournaments and you have a really good day, you just stacked your paychecks too.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. So let's talk about joining a club. What's kind of an expectation when they're joining? Most clubs are going to have a fee, a membership fee, something like that. KBFs like that, we're like that. From a Moyak standpoint, where does that money go towards, Josh?
Membership fees are really important because that's actually our operating budget for the year. I use that money to purchase the trophies for every event. The big ass checks that we take our pictures in front of, the banners, the t-shirts, the shirts, the swag, everything we hand out in the membership packs. On top of that, some of it's going to go towards the food for every tournament as well. The more, actually, the more budget we have to work with, the more I'm going to invest it to give to the anglers back. Actually, this year I'm looking at buying some prizes from some of our sponsors at a discounted price. That way I can give them away at tournaments and do a little bit more raffle, maybe even some prizes for the first place winners, something like that. I'm working on that, but I think we're going to expand on that this year. So that money gets dumped right back into the club, 100%.
And that's something that, when you're looking at a club, that you should be able to talk to that president or that board or someone there that should be able to tell you exactly where that money's going towards. And if you say, "Hey, what's my," and if you don't feel comfortable, I mean, that would be a red flag for me. But at the same time, I think you want to know what you're getting into, where that money's going towards. You know, it's I know some of that's going towards those shirts and buffs we're getting this year, and that's to me that's awesome. I know it maybe just be the first 100 people, but I mean, in order to to join in, I mean 100 people is a lot of people. Like I don't.
Yeah, those shirts may have been a little more pricey than I expected this year. I may have gotten a little carried away, but they're going to be some nice shirts. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple grand right there just in shirts. But I mean, I think the time. How can I phrase this correct? I don't think there's a lot of shady organizations out there anymore. You know, most there maybe a year or two ago they started popping up, but they never got any support, and so they disappeared. And so I don't think there's much to worry about. I think we've got some pretty good established clubs and trails in Missouri and the surrounding Midwest. So most of these clubs, actually, I can't even think of one that's not legitimate. They're all great. So I mean, find your local club and get in contact with them if you'd like to get involved.
So I've joined my club. I'm getting involved in tournaments. I've got a tournament a month out. What, as a New Englander, what should I be thinking about as far as my kayak? Um, what do I need, Josh, to get to be?
Oh, we just lost your audio. He's gone mute. Should we edit this out of the video? I don't know. Can't hear you. You've been censored, comrade. You've signed up for a tournament, so now what do you need? Okay, so for Moyak, we keep it real simple. As far as required equipment goes, you just need to have a safety whistle in your kayak, and you're going to need to have a PFD. So that PFD has to be worn at all times. Now you can have a safety flag on your kayak. That's not required. It is suggested. But if you're going to launch before sunrise, you do need to have a 360 light on. And if you're running a motor, electric motors are allowed in Moyak. So if you've got a trolling motor on your kayak, you're going to need that red and green bow light up front. And that's just that's a Coast Guard law. That's state law. But PFDs. Let's talk about PFDs a little bit. That came up today on the Discord chat room. We're talking about some PFDs, and PFDs can be uncomfortable. They can be a pain, but there are some out there that can work for you and help you. And let me see. I got a few examples here. Let's see what we got. This will be an edit. All right. Here we have an inflatable. Okay. This is what I prefer the most. This is the most comfortable. I mean, you put this on and you can go fish and you don't even know it's there. Okay. They have a rechargeable CO2 cartridge. So if they get wet or submerged, sometimes some are manual. You can pull a lever and they'll inflate. But this is very comfortable. This is the way to go. I would suggest getting an inflatable PFD, but I do like the standard, the vest type PFDs. This here is designed to help you float face up if you were to go unconscious. They're a lot safer, but they're a lot bulkier. I like it when it's colder outside because it actually keeps me warm. So I kind of wear my vest style in the cooler months, and I wear an inflatable during the summer months. So that's kind of the difference between those two types of PFDs. And I myself love the inflatable because you don't even know it's there. And when you're in a kayak and you're paddling, you don't want to be restricted. Some of them PFDs are just they just squish you.
No, I completely agree. There's been times where I'll get unloaded, and at the dock and get, leaving. I'll get everything thrown in the truck, and then I'll hop in the truck, and I don't even realize that I'll have my PFD on sometimes. I mean, that's how those inflatable ones. That's how comfortable those are. I've got another one that's a vest one. The regular, it's got pockets on it, and it's nice. It's got where you can put stuff and hold stuff and that you want close to you. But it is, summertime. It becomes thick. It seems like it's uncomfortable. But I mean, to each his own. I mean, but that's one of the big things that you know we need to have out there because ultimately, if you're fishing out there by yourself, that's it. If something happens to you, that's what's just saving your life.
It is, and I mean, I've been in a tournament where we've lost someone before. It's a serious thing, and you need to have a PFD on at all times. It's very important, and you need to have a PFD that you're comfortable with too. It can affect your performance. So there's a lot of options out there. I would recommend checking out a few of them and then seeing what works best for you.
Absolutely. So PFD whistle, some safety equipment as far as lights and flags if need be. A catch board.
Yep.
That's one thing that you'll have to have, especially in a photo submission. Um, what are our options this year as far as catch boards? Is it just catch board brand only?
Yeah, we're going to be Catchboard brand only this year. They make a great product that standardizes measurements so that it's a fair process for everyone in the tournament. If everyone is measuring on the same board, that we're getting the same measurements. So that is why we're making this change to only catchboards. But there are options with catchboards. There's multiple different versions. Um, you've got the Catch carbonate board. This is the one that I would probably recommend to most anglers. It's only like $30. It's really strong. It won't flex. It's not going to break on you. It's lightweight. Um, of course, a Robo Hawk tether. You want to tether everything on your kayak. But also, if you still have, the aluminum ones too. We've got the aluminum boards too. They have the 26 inch, the 32-inch versions. And I don't know if you can see that, but you can even get them customized. We got Moyak right there. But RoboHawk tether, another important thing. If,
Yeah,
if
you
you're
definitely want that one tethered because that one will sink like a
Yes,
champ.
that board weighs about 100 pounds, and you can use it to kill a buffalo if you need to survive off the land. So,
Secondary anchor.
yes, it can be used as an anchor as well. But great board, accurate measuring, and it's easy to judge. So yes, catch boards only. There's also the new Aluminex board, which is like a mid version. It's a lighter weight aluminum model, so that's allowed too. So catch boards.
Yeah, so once you guys get to that point where you've got your kayak, your safety equipment, your catch board, at that point you're ready for tournaments. And let's kind of jump into because
That's simple.
we offer multiple types of tournaments, and there's tons of different types of tournaments. On Tourney X, we do an online, we do live events, we do team events, and even a river series. Um, let's talk about the online because I feel like that's where most guys start out and enjoy that time. How does that work, and what's expected for those guys in those online tournaments?
The online river series is designed, or not river series. I'm sorry. The online cut. Yeah. Okay. The online series is designed for to allow anglers to go out on their own time, and they can fish any public water in Missouri they want to. So you can, if you've got a busy work schedule, you can go after work. If you just want to fish in a certain spot that you're comfortable with, maybe you're not comfortable with getting out on big water like Table Rock. That's fine too. And this is a great way to learn about kayak tournaments. You're going to go out and you're going to catch 5 fish in that month. The monthly onlines run from the first to the last day of the month. And you have those 30, 31 days to catch your 5 biggest fish. And Tourney X will automatically cull for you. So every fish you catch, you just submit it. And at the end of the month, you get to see what your 5 biggest fish were. And that's going to be your total score that you get to go against everybody else with. So the onlines are a great way to learn in a non-stressful environment on your own time and you kind of figure things. It's if you're going to make mistakes, which we all do, that's a great place to make mistakes.
Yeah, and the nice part about this is there's tons of online tournaments that you can get involved in. From KBF to Moyak, to other guys that run online events. Maybe it's just a 2 or 3 day weekend kind of deal. There's tons of stuff on Tourney X on there that you can jump on there and see and fish other stuff. And like we talked about earlier, you can stack those tournaments and have a good weekend and get paid out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our team and our live events, um, it's almost completely different. It's a little more stressful. It's a little more exciting, but I mean, online, the live events, they're a blast. So I mean, don't limit the online to you just starting out. You've got to be, come to one of the live events. Just check it out.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Um,
But if you're a little nervous about coming to a live event, check out an online first. That you'll get used to using TourneyX. That's usually the biggest concern that I hear about is people don't understand how to use this app or how to use the website, and they're confused about I mean, they can catch the fish, but then how do they get it submitted to the tournament? That's the biggest question. So, and we're going to show how to do that in this video too. So that's coming up. All right, let's talk about TourneyX. Here is the TourneyX homepage. This is the website version. Keep in mind the apps is going to look a little bit different. If you're wondering how to tell the difference between the app and the website, go to tourneyx.com in your browser, and that's the website. The little icon on your home screen, your phone is going to take you to the app. Okay, so here on the website, we're on the home page. This is where you're going to find tournaments. This is where each club and each series is going to have all of their tournaments listed. Bass Nation, All American, Hobie, kayaks, fishing, all these online series and other clubs are all here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to Moyak, and we're going to click on that block, and that's going to open up all of the Moyak tournaments for 2021. You can see we've got the onlines, we've got the teams, the live events. They're all there. If we go back, we'll come down and we'll look at the river series. If you're wanting to fish the river tournaments, here are the river tournaments. They're on the Moyak River Trail block. So here's all your river tournaments. So let's go back to the live. Now, let's say you want to join a tournament. Let's say the January, or one of the onlines. This one's already going on. I went ahead and joined this tournament just for showing you guys this. So that's how you would sign up for tournaments, just by clicking on that and then signing up through PayPal. Now, let's go to our dashboard. This is your central hub, your dashboard. This is where you do everything, okay? Starting with submit a catch. Once you've caught that fish and you've got some good pictures of it, here's where you go. You go to your dashboard. Let's upload that good photo. So you're going to click on submit a catch. Make sure that all of your GPS location settings are turned on your phone, or this is not going to work properly. So I'm going to click on the tournament. It's going to ask you what tournament. So now we're in the January online. So excuse me. Once I click on add a picture, it's going to take you to your camera gallery, which is the way I recommend taking your photos of your fish. Just pull up your phone, your camera on your phone, and just start taking photos. Let those photos go into your gallery. That way you've got them saved. Don't put them in the live well. Don't save them right to the app. Keep them in your phone. Then you can go through and look at them and make sure you've got a good one and submit the best one. So once you've got that good photo, you're going to click here on add a picture. All right. Let's go to this one. Once you click on that add a pic, I'm on my desktop, but if I was on my phone, that would have taken me directly to my gallery for my pictures. So we've uploaded this photo. Double check it, make sure it's good. Identifier is clearly visible. Mouth closed, touching the fence. Tails, you can see the measurement good. Okay, everything looks fine. Then you come down here and you put in the length. You put it 2100. And then you're going to submit that catch. And it's going to tell you your fish has been submitted. And then you're going to get an email as well, and it's going to tell you that that fish has been submitted. So your fish is now in. If you want to check and see, go back to your dashboard. Go to view standings. This is where you're going to look at the leaderboard for the tournament. Click on that, and then again, it's going to ask you what tournament. So we're going to click on the January online tournament. And there we have my 21-inch fish has been submitted. Now you'll notice there's a red X, and these have green X's. The difference is that's because this photo has just been submitted and has not been judged yet. Once a judge approves that photo, it turns green. So these green photos, these have been approved. And if you want to look at someone's fish, you can simply click on that X, and it's going to bring up that fish, and you can look at everyone's fish. Cool part about kayak tournaments is we can see everyone's fish, and we can keep everyone honest and held accountable, as well as the judges. So there we go. We'll see the fish. You'll see the watermark on there, that Tourney X watermark. That means that the photo has not been altered in any way. You must use original photos. Don't take a video, snapshots, or anything like that. It won't work. You must take an original photo and submit that original unaltered photo. It's the only way it's going to work. So let's go back to the dashboard. Now let's say you accidentally submitted a fish twice. It happens a lot. Simply come here to your dashboard and you have the option to remove a fish. So you click on that. It's going to ask you what tournament, and then it'll show up all your photos. So then I'm going to say, oh, I did not mean to submit this photo. I need to remove this photo. There you go. Photo has been removed. Simple as that. Now, if you're going to be joining teams and doing the teams trail things, here's where you do that as well. Once you sign up and pay your entry fee for that tournament, your team is not created yet. Now you have to go to your dashboard and create your team. So you'll click on your teams, either create a team, join a team, and then that's how that works. The map feature. This is for members of Tourney X. I believe it's $30 a year. Really low, and it comes with some cool features. These are all GPS tags of fish that I have submitted in tournaments, and it's kind of a cool feature because it shows you exactly everywhere you fished in every tournament. I like going back and looking at this. I'm not going to zoom in too much, but pretty cool feature that Tourney X does for you. So if you're a Tourney X member, that's one of the perks you get to track all your fish in tournaments. And that is your Tourney X dashboard.
Well, I've got signed up for Bull Shoals, and it's a couple months away. And I've got all my safety stuff. I've got signed up on Tourney X, got my membership fees, and I'm starting to look at Bull Shoals and figure out where I'm going. I know for me, Google Maps has been huge. Navionics has been good. Um, along with those two, what else do you recommend for guys, prepping for a tournament?
Prepping for a tournament on a new lake is one of the most fun, exciting things to do. I mean, it's a rush. So you got to go into it. Like you said, Google Earth, Navionics is a great tool. I get on YouTube as well and look up videos of, maybe the Bass Elite tournaments or any other past bass tournaments that have been on that lake. And then sometimes I'm just looking at the water itself. If I've never been to that lake, I'll watch them videos just to see what's the shoreline look like? What's the structure look like? Is it rocky? Is it ledgy? You can learn a lot from watching some YouTube videos. So, well, I'll watch some videos and get an idea for the lake. And then like you mentioned, we'll go up and pull up Navionics because you've got to have a public access point. Navionics is going to show you exactly where these ramps are located on every lake in the country. And it's a very good tool. And we're going to go over that as well. All right, let's take a look at what is Navionics and how it can help you and how you can use it alongside with Google Earth to scout and find locations to launch. All right, this is the Navionics website. Just simply typed in navionics.com. And now what you want to do is you're going to go up here to the free chart viewer. So click on the chart viewer. Now it's going to bring up the map. I'm going to zoom out here. As you can see, it's the entire country. You can go anywhere you want, and this will work on these lakes. So we're just going to zoom in, and let's go take a look at Bull Shoals. see Bull Shoals. Let's zoom in some more. This has a lot of information on here. You can see the channels. You can see the contour, the depth. Most importantly is if you'll notice this symbol right here in the middle, that is a boat ramp symbol. Let's zoom right away. It's telling me there's a boat ramp right there. If you look over here on the other side of the lake, it's telling me there's one right here too. That's the symbol for a boat ramp. So that's what you want to look for when you're scouting a lake on Navionics. So now we have these two possible locations. Now it will show you private ramps. This does not mean that they're public. So what you're going to have to do is, this is where Google Earth comes in handy. Let's switch over to Google Earth. And let's zoom in. All right, so here we are. And let's keep zooming in, and this is Bull Shoals, so of course it's flooded. So we've got a road underwater right here. But this is where Navionics was saying there is a ramp, which at this point in time it's underwater. But as you can see, there are vehicles that are parked here and people are launching right here. So that's a pretty good indicator that this is a public access. Now there was one on the other side, if you remember. Let's zoom in on this one. This one looks like a road that just kind of dead ends, and then it looks like there's a small parking lot there. There's a dock right there, but I don't see any houses until you come up here. But you don't know. This could be private. This could be public. This is one of those times where you're going to have to scout it in person and find out if that's a public access. But just off first guess, by looking at both of these, you can say that's a public access. So that is how you can use Navionics in conjunction with Google Earth to check out a lake before you even get there, in the comfort of your own home. And there's a lot of information that can be gained. Showing a boat ramp up here at Beaver Creek public use area. That's probably a pretty good indicator that that's a public access. So there you have it. That's how I use Navionics and Google Earth to help scout new lakes. You might not be sure. Navionics is going to show you ramps that might be private. So you have to figure out if it's a public ramp. And Google Earth really helps you do that. If you go on Google Earth and then zoom in on that ramp location, if you see a big parking lot there, chances are it's a public ramp. And you can kind of see that it's a public access. If it's in someone's backyard, you know it's not going to be public. So you can use those tools to really help you out. But that's the best way to prepare before you ever get on site. I mean, study the map. I don't know if you can see it back there. I have a collection of maps. I love paper maps. I buy these fishing maps from every lake I go to, and I really like to write notes on them and stuff like that. I'm just old school that way, but fishing maps are a great tool to use as well. And then, you're ready to go to the lake and start to scout and pre-fish.
One thing that I really like about Google Maps is you can just see a regular map, but you can also see a satellite image on there. And, a lot of times that satellite image will give you clues to that ramp, whether it's public or private. The other thing that I love is, I've got a couple Gmail accounts, but when I'm logged up into my fishing one, I can take a pin and drop that pin on that ramp, and I can save that. And maybe I've got a day where I can go to drive down to a couple different ramps, and then I can literally, select that pin and drive to it and not have to be looking like, where am I going to go next? And that's what's, new school to old school. You like paper. I like the Google Maps because I can get on there and drop pins on 5 different, boat ramps that I see on a satellite view and then go check those out. And I mean, everyone's different. Some guys would rather, hey, I want to drive to this ramp and look at it because I want to see the water clarity. I want to see, if I can even get to this access, and
there's a lot involved. I mean, I usually make a list myself. You use the pins. I write on a piece of paper, but I'll write down like 5 different ramp locations that I found, through Navionics and Google Earth. and then I have a list to go to when I get there. And so, my first day of scouting a new lake, I'm going to pretty much just drive to every one of those spots that I wrote down on my list. And I'm just going to look, what's the water look like there? What's the ramp? Can I even get to it? Is it even a public access? You got to figure out all these questions, and then you narrow your list down a little bit, and then you narrow it down to just a couple locations. And then that's when that's when I launch, and that's when I go fish. Once I've narrowed it down, I usually spend a whole day driving and just looking at ramps, But then the next day, that's when I launch and try to start to pre-fish.
There is a limitless supply of information out there on bodies of water that you want to go fish, and it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you and how to go through there. So come tournament, the week of the tournament, let's talk about Tourney X and what guys need to do or make sure they've done to join that tournament or to sign up for that tournament.
Yep, that's important. Like I said, everything is on Tourney X. So to register for a tournament, to go over the rules of the tournament, to submit, everything is on Tourney X. So if you're ready to sign up for that tournament, you go to Tourney X and you pay your entry fee through PayPal, and then it will show you listed on the Tourney X website as registered for the tournament.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet because then you can,
simple.
You see your name in there, you see everybody else that's already signed up for it, and come tournament day, it's really fun watching to see how many guys actually end up signing up and kind of getting a feeling for what that tournament's going to pay out.
Yeah, let's talk about tournament day. I think we pretty much covered the build up to it. So, once you get to the actual day, okay, you've scouted, you've done your research, you're there the day before, you checked out your ramps, you know where you're going to go. So now we're at tournament day. Okay, so you're going to, before the tournament starts, you're going to get an identifier code. This identifier code is how kayak tournaments work because we don't weigh in our fish. You're going to take a photo of your fish, and you're going to have that identifier code in that picture. Now, let's go back to our Tourney X dashboard for a minute, and let's talk about the identifier codes. Now, here on your dashboard, you'll see there is a block for identifier codes. You're going to click on that, and then it's going to be in blue, and it's going to say click here for the identifier. Now, over here on the right, Tourney X generates a code. They're about to do away with that, so ignore this code. The identifier code is always going to be right here under a link. So once you click on that, it's going to bring up the identifier code for that tournament. So it is always going to be 3 digits. USA is the code for that tournament. So for you ever want to know the identifier code, it's right here on Tourney X on your dashboard. It'll also be published the night before the tournament as well as at the captain's meeting. The way most of us use it is they have this great product called a tourney tag. Okay, you can go buy these tourney tags at tourneytag.com, and it's a waterproof sleeve that will hold a card that you can write these codes in. You don't need it. I mean, you can use a sandwich baggie if you want to or whatever, but I recommend getting a tourney tag. And we also have identifier cards on the website where you can print it off, and then you can just write the code in these boxes.
Catch has also made a tourney tag holder. It's a different version of the tourney tag, but it fits the catch board, and you're able to flip up the identifier above the fish. And that's another way that you can have that identifier on your kayak. You don't have to have that Tourney X. You don't have to have it in a plastic bag. You can write it on your hand for that matter. But that identifier can make or break your day. A good buddy of mine, he signed up for a KBF event, and he did not have a tourney tag with him. And it had to be a KBF one, not like us,
Yeah,
and
KBF requires you got to use the KBF card.
And it was just a whole day lost, and I felt bad for the guy, man. It's tough, but that's one of the biggest things come tournament day that you've got to have lined up.
And that also brings us up to another point too about being aware of the rules for a tournament. You need to make sure that you understand how each tournament works. I mean, MOIAC is pretty much a national standardized rules, but there are some differences in every club. It doesn't matter where you're at. If someone's watching this from another area, you need to make sure you know what your club's rules are, because everyone has to abide by those rules in order to have a fair competition.
along with rules, there's just some angler ethics, if you want to call them that. Um, just kind of maybe things that you don't think about that are going on around you, but maybe to be aware of. Fishing close to people. Maybe if you guys are fishing the same spot, you guys are on the same thing. Maybe talk to each other, communicate. Maybe take turns. Make sure you guys are each clear on which direction you're heading, where you're going. And just common stuff like that. And I know sometimes we get in the moment we don't think about that, but just talk to your other anglers. Don't just assume something.
Yeah, definitely communication is important. We don't want to crowd other anglers out on the water. We're lucky to be on a bunch of big lakes, so it's not really that bad of an issue like other clubs have to deal with. But, the general rule of thumb is 50 yards, or if you can sling a lure and hit them, you're too close. So back off. Don't crowd anybody if they're sitting on a spot. And if you want to move, if you're fishing down a bank and you come to somebody who's sitting on that bank, that's okay. You can go around them. You just back off and say, "Hey, man, I'm going to go around you," and don't cut them off. Go way behind, at least 50 yards past them. Don't just cut right in and take their bank. But be ethical, be respectful of others, and everyone will get along. That's how. I mean, we've never had a problem in Moyak with this. I mean, we've been really fortunate. We've got so many great anglers that are respectful of each other, and that's all it takes. Just be respectful of each other and communicate. Even if you're wanting to fish near someone, say, "Hey, man, do you care if I come fish here?" And they'll tell you, "Yeah, I care," or "No, come on, man, let's fish together."
Yeah, definitely.
Either way, just talk about it. That's all. That's all it takes is just a communication.
Yeah, typically it's like, hey, let's go fish together, or it's like, hey, get off my spot because I'm on them. It's one of the two. But either way, Moyak has been great with as far as guys communicating with each other.
Yeah, make
Um,
sure you're respectful, out on the water and at the boat ramp as well. I mean, we've got to have some ramp ethics as well. Make sure that you're not blocking the ramps, I mean, and holding up boaters or other kayakers. Just some common sense. I mean, there's some guys that really aggravate people because they pull down to the ramp and then they spend 30 minutes blocking the ramp while they load up their kayak. Don't be that guy.
yeah, definitely not. It's not fun for anyone. Everyone's just sitting there. Everybody's getting mad, and it's not a good time.
Just common sense. Just be respectful.
So let's talk about finally set the hook on tournament day. I get that fish in the boat. Kind of let's go walk over a basic submitting a fish. What works for you, and what is required when they submit that fish.
There's several options you can use. It depends on whether you want to go with the Tourney X Pro app or the website. You can use both, and both work fine. I would recommend using the website if you've got good signal. It seems to work a little less glitchy, I guess to say. But um, what I would suggest that every angler does is once they catch that fish, they put it up on the board. They've got it on their catch board, and they've got their identifier code in that picture. Use your phone and start taking pictures. Hold your phone up above that fish, take a picture. Look at it, make sure it's a good one. Take another picture. Take another picture. Maybe even change the angle or the height a little bit. Take another picture. Take a bunch of pictures. And then before you let that fish go, throw him back on your fish grips, put him back in the water so he can chill. And then go through your phone and start looking at your photos in your gallery and make sure you've got one that's clear, shows the measurement, mouth is closed. It's a good quality photo. Once you see that you've got that good quality photo, you can go ahead and release your fish. And then you're going to submit that to Tourney X. So I usually take about, I'll pull my phone up, take about picture, take about 5 or 6 pictures, and then I'm going to turn it up and I'm going to take a picture of the sky. And then I put my phone away, and that picture of the sky breaks up all my photos with the next fish. So if I catch another fish, I'm going to start taking photos of it, and then I'll take another picture of the sky. So when I'm going through Tourney X to get ready to submit my photos, I can go through my gallery in my phone, and every fish is separated by a picture of the sky. That way I don't get my fish confused, because if you don't separate them, if you go out and catch three 12-inch fish, how do you know which one was which? You're going to get
Yeah.
them all. You're going to get them all mixed up. So you got to make sure you have, which fish is which. So I strongly suggest take a bunch of pictures and then just take a picture of anything, a blank picture, it doesn't matter. But that separates in your gallery those photos. And then once you're ready to submit that photo, you just go right to TourneyX and submit photo, and you pick your photo and you drop it right in. You're done.
You talked about, taking a picture and then putting them on your fish grip and then making sure your picture is good. That as well is a good way to start, once you catch that fish. If he's riled up and he just doesn't want to sit still, put him on those fish grips. Let him sit in the water for a little bit. Let him chill out.
For sure.
Get your stuff laid out. Get where you need to be, and then get him and try and take a picture. I mean, nothing's worse than having a big old bass sit on your board and it just flop off and go back in the water. I mean, anytime you can get them calm or whatever, I mean that's the way to do. People talk about putting their nets on the side of their kayaks to keep them from jumping out, different stuff like that. But nothing is worse than getting that fish in your boat and it's just like, bloop, bloop, and it's
Yep.
gone.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody. It happens to all of us all the time. It's probably catching the bass. I'll say this again, catching the bass is the easiest part of kayak tournaments. Taking the photograph of the fish is the hardest part. And like you said, it's a great idea. Oh man, once I catch a fish, I really mean as quick as I can. I scheme across that water and he's right in the net. I net that dude. And then as soon as he's out of the net, he's on the fish grips. And so I'll put him on the fish grips and hang him over the side of my kayak. And then I'll start getting prepared. I'll reach and I'll get my catch board, and then I'll get my identifier card, and I'll get my phone out, and I'll get ready to start taking my pictures. Once I'm all ready. Oh, and here's another good tip. Make sure that there's no moisture on your camera lens. So I would turn on your camera and look through it and make sure you can see a clear picture, because sometimes it'll blur your photos and then your fish gets disqualified. So once I see that my camera is working, I'm all good, I'm set up, I'm ready, I'll grab that fish and take him off the fish grips and put him on the board.
Absolutely. So while you're out on the water, just kind of things to be mindful of. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about other boaters, and then
Wind.
let's talk about changing spots throughout the day, if there or when. The weather's the big deal. I know Truman last year, we had a storm come through, and it affected some guys, and other guys it was like I don't I didn't know anything. And Truman's big enough where some guys can be affected by that, and their storm rolled through. It's just something to be mindful of. If you've got service, um, check that weather. If you don't have service, make sure you check the forecast. Before you go out, or the last point. That could make or break your day right there.
Yeah, definitely. That's part of tournament preparation is knowing what that weather is going to be like. Use different apps. Don't just trust one. Use multiples and have different options, and know and try to come up with a plan. If it's going to be a storm, you're going to need to get off the water or maybe get under a dock. If it's windy, you're going to need wind blocks. So you have to be aware of the weather at all times. It's extremely important in kayak fishing.
So one other thing to watch is other boaters. If you've got
Yeah.
time to pre-fish, you'll probably have a good idea how that place will, or where you're fishing at, is going to be on the weekend. But ultimately, you just gotta kind of be mindful of those guys, and unfortunately, they probably aren't as mindful as they should be.
Yeah, you're definitely. I mean, there's different types of kayaks out there. I mean, but you need to be mindful of what kind of water you can handle, what type of waves you can handle, what type of conditions you can handle. Some of these boaters out there, they have no respect whatsoever for kayak anglers, and they'll come flying by you, and then as they're jetting by you, they'll look and see if their wave flips you. I've seen it so many times; it's ridiculous. So um, my advice is, if you're not really comfortable with taking on those big waves, if someone's going by you and you've got a weight coming at you, position your boat in a 45-degree angle and point your nose at it, and then go at that 45-degree angle. And that angle will take you over the top of that wave without tipping most of the time. But
But occasionally,
that's the best way to attack a wave. I mean, if you're new to these, being on this big water or being on a lake, and you see a big wave coming at you, turn your kayak, face it, paddle into it, and hit it at a 45-degree angle.
So, weather, other boaters. Let's talk about changing spots. Maybe you get to a spot and you fished a couple, the previous weekend. Are guys allowed to change spot, and what would you recommend when they're doing that?
Yeah, for sure. You can change spots. I mean, it's going to be time consuming, so you're going to have to budget your time well. But if you launch in the morning and your spot's just not paying off and you've got a backup spot, you can go right back to the ramp, load up, and go back to your other spot. As long as you're launching from a public access, you can change spots all you want.
So the tournament has finished. My last cast is up. Then we're gonna go to the awards and the check-ins. To me, this is the highlight of the tournament. If I smoke them or if I blank that day, that's what I'm looking forward to is meeting up and checking in all the awards.
Yeah,
Um,
we can talk about the timeline a little bit leading up to that too. Like most tournaments are going to start. We're going to be calling it lines in. That's the beginning of competition. Okay, that's at 6 a.m. usually or first light. That depend on the tournament. You're allowed to launch 30 minutes prior to that. We call that first launch. So the first launch time is when you're allowed to put your kayak in the water, and that gives you time to go paddle to your spot. It's usually 30 minutes. Once the line's in, that's the competition begins at 6 a.m. and then it's going to end at 3 p.m. Now, these numbers are just for example, but lines out at 3 p.m. You can no longer fish after that point. Any fish caught after that is time stamped on Tourney X and will be rejected, so it won't count. So once the end of the tournament is there, you're done fishing. We have a check-in time. You have to check in to let the tournament director know you're off the water safely and to know that you're there for the award ceremony. So we usually give an hour, hour and a half. Give anglers plenty of time to get off the water, load up their kayaks. Sometimes you don't have cell service, so you need time to drive somewhere to find some Wi-Fi. Maybe you got to go to a McDonald's or something to upload your photos. We're going to allow time for that too. So you're going to have that hour and a half time frame window after the tournament ends to get to the check-in. Once you're at the check-in, we're going to hang out, share stories, eat some food, give away lots of cool prizes, and then give away some cash and trophies. So that's kind of what you can expect for the timeline of events for the awards.
there will definitely be some stories told there at the awards. Absolutely, you can count on that.
It's the best time of the day.
It is. It's great. I mean, we get there, we eat some food, we get some drinks in us, and just hang out. And then most of the time, you walk away with something, and that's what I mean. That was what baffled me about Moyak is how much stuff we gave away last year, the year before. It's really cool. And then on top of it, to hand out some checks and some awards and have a great time. And that's really what it comes down to, and that's the best
Yep.
part of it.
We're blessed. We're blessed to have some great anglers, some great sponsors, some great partners and companies behind us. I mean, man, we're lucky.
We are, and just the fact that the guys that we have in our club, I don't think I know anybody that I wouldn't want to hang out with. Have a conversation with, talk to them about their day, even go fishing with them. At a different time or a different location. But I mean, the guys that we have, they're just friendly, nice guys. They give you the shirt off their back. Any advice you need, it's great.
Absolutely. We're all kindred spirits. I've said it many times and I believe it 100%, but I mean, we all just are become friends immediately. I mean, you can meet a complete stranger at a tournament and you're like, did we just become best friends? I think so.
This magic moment.
Yeah, that
You know,
happens. It happens all the time. And then you get new fishing buddies, and then you get to go fishing. When it's not a tournament time. I mean, it's awesome. We have a great kayak angling community in Missouri.
yeah, I mean it's awesome. Between the lakes, the anglers, and just all the opportunities we have here in Missouri, it's amazing. So if maybe if you don't have a club and you're in Kansas or Arkansas or wherever, I mean, come on, we'll take you in, and we don't care where you're from.
Yeah, we've got anglers from Kansas, Arkansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Colorado that are all signed up to compete this year. So,
I mean, everything else is kind of, there's some stuff that from when you start to want to do tournaments to your first tournament, there's stuff in there. There's questions. Post it on the Facebook, guys. Put it on Discord. Um, Send a smoke signal. Whatever works for you. But ask questions. Don't be shy. If Josh or myself or maybe you met somebody else through and got involved with Moyak, just ask questions. We're not gonna say no. That's ridiculous. No, we're gonna help. We're gonna say, hey, this is what I would do. This is what works for me. And then we may even talk to you about some other guys that may be doing the same thing that you want to do. Who knows?
yep,
But don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm so and so, and I'm new. We're gonna take you in just the same.
it's one big family. It really is.
Family. Well, Josh, how many more weeks until Bull Shoals?
Oh boy, not many.
Not many.
It's
Not
coming
enough.
up. We got what, 2 months?
I wish I was more excited about that Taney 20, but I didn't make it. So.
Oh, poor
But
guy.
no, that should be a good one too. I might just come down there and paddle my kayak around and just watch some guys fish. That might be
Yeah,
fun too.
it's going to be fun for everybody to watch at home and follow along. I mean, we got our top 20 anglers from Moyak. They're going to duke it out on Taneycomo and a shotgun start. So that's going to be interesting.
I might just go out there and follow Dorman around, see where he goes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, like I said, ask questions. You guys need anything, you guys know where we're at. Plenty of opportunities to get on there or communicate. We've got Discord, we've got Facebook, we've got an Instagram, YouTube,
MoyakFishingSeries.com.
we got the website. You've got resources, so don't be afraid. If you're new, hey man, glad to have you here. Look forward to seeing you at tournaments. Josh, what else you got for us, man?
I just want to welcome everyone that's joining us for the first time this year, and I want to welcome everybody that's coming back. We're going to have an awesome season this year.
Yep, it's going to be great. No matter what, we thought 2020 was going to be amazing, but 2021 is going to knock the socks off of it.
That's right. Let's do it.
Well, Josh, man, it's been a pleasure as always, and I had a great time. And seriously, appreciate your help and everything you do, man.
Yeah, thank you too, John, man. It's been great talking to you, and we'll see you soon.